Hi everyone, it's Cassie, the Young Teen Librarian at East Hampton Library. Today for our virtual make and take craft, I'm going to show you how to make a melted crayon painting. So for a melted crayon painting, what you will need will be a piece of watercolor paper, and this is my sample of the melted crayon painting that I made at another time. So I'm going to set that aside. Our creation will look somewhat like that. So here is our watercolor paper, and along with the watercolor paper, what you are going to need are crayons. Now they have to be crayons without the wrapping. So they could be whole crayons like these, or they could be large broken pieces of crayon. Doesn't really matter as long as you have crayons. So I'm going with the similar theme to our original sample of blue, purple, and green. So I have a whole bunch of greens, blues, and purple crayons here. You will also need parchment paper. So I have my roll of parchment paper here. I will set that aside. And if you cannot already tell, I have a piece of parchment paper below our work surface. So you have to have two pieces of parchment paper, one below the piece of watercolor paper and one that will be placed over it. And along with these, you will need an iron. So I have an iron that is plugged in right here. So be careful. This is something where definitely be careful with this because you have to use an iron and it's going to be hot. So make sure that if you're not comfortable, use adult supervision. And then also you will need a handheld cheese grater. So I have this one right here that I will be using. And if you wanted to, you could attach shape or letter templates to your piece of paper, and then you would put and then the crayons would get melted over it, and when you removed the shape, you would have the outline of the letter or the shape. But I'm not going to be doing that today. But that is a possible variation of this. So for this, what you're going to do is you're just going to take your grater, and you're going to grate crayons over it, like so. And you're just going to grate it all over your piece of paper. So as you can tell, we kind of grated the end. So to make it so that we don't waste that little bit, there we go. We're going to set that crayon aside. And then we're going to pick a blue one. So we're going to use this light blue. So you can tell we have that, and then we are going to use our light purple. Now the reason for using parchment paper is that parchment paper should not stick to, the crayons will not stick to it because of the coating on it. And you definitely want to use parchment paper, not wax paper, because if you think about it, crayons are wax, and if you used wax paper, you would essentially probably melt the wax off the wax paper. So it's better to be on the safe side and to use this. So we're going to just kind of tap the excess that we have stuck on here onto our paper. Any that got stuck on the cheese grater. So we're going to set our cheese grater aside, and we're going to take out our parchment paper. Because now is where the fun begins. So we're going to place our piece of parchment paper over the image, or over the piece of paper, or over what we've created. Make sure it is down properly. And then we are just going to quickly run over it with our iron. And then we are going to run it over our paper. So make sure to not stay too long on any one surface if you can. And there we go. All right, so now we're going to lift parchment paper. There's our artwork. That is pretty cool. So that is how to make a melted crayon painting using simply an iron, some parchment paper, and a handheld cheese grater, and some crayons and watercolor paper. It's very, very simple supplies. So that is how to make a melted crayon painting. I hope that you all enjoyed it and that maybe it inspired you to make your own melted crayon painting. And I hope that you all have a great rest of your day. Bye everyone!